Okay, welcome everybody. Good afternoon. This is a really exciting session that we have for you, and very interesting, a bit of role reversal. Through COVID, Natalia Rosa, beast that she is, became just, her superpower was moderating webinars with aplomb. But I was often in the engine room. I was sort of chairing or co-hosting or doing the substance, and we've flipped it around today. So Natalia is going to be taking us through this very exciting free-to-be destination marketing campaign. I'm going to be moderating. I'll try my best. But just a quick word of introduction. So we as SATSA have an interesting footprint, 1,400 member companies in Southern Africa, mainly South Africa, but in some of our neighboring countries. And over the last 9 years, our main focus has been on doing the lobbying and the sort of heavy lift. But we reflected on this both as a board and as a marketing subcommittee of the board, which Peter Dross chairs. And we really felt we were sort of missing a trick. And a lot of the lessons that came out of COVID about how we collaborated and how we worked together and how we dealt with things such as protocols and inbound recovery and red list issues, showed us that there is just this amazing collaborative capability and acumen within the SATSA stable. And if you extend that to the tentacles that we have through all of our members and your overseas customers, that's just an amazing collective. And the thought then was, what if we harness this in a marketing and sales perspective? So rather than myself or Peter growing a ponytail and just going on, what we did is we did this in a very democratic way, and we engaged prior in the build-up to the SATSA conference, which took place in early April at the Lord Charles. We engaged members and put this out to members that should we be doing this, and if we were going to do it, how should we do it? And it was a particularly enriching exercise, and it culminated with a view and really infused at that conference, which was I must say, a very, very nice 2 days, and privileged through our red list lobbying last year to have come into contact, and I'm just privileged to count him as a friend, is Robbie Brosen from Nando's. He gave us a keynote address, which he sort of went off the deep end on. And for those in the room, it was a particularly inspiring speech. But I think what really guides us in what we're doing at this stage as SATSA, as a private sector industry association, and with our linkages into fellow associations that do work with us, such as FedHASA, such as ATA, such as SAKI, SATSA. These are all people that sort of go together with us. But at that conference, Robbie's message was a really simple one, and it really speaks to the ethos of this campaign and how we go about it. And he had a very simple message, and it was the following: if not now, when? If not us, who? And so with that in mind, what came out of the conference was, let's set up an advisory marketing committee, which we were able to do, and incredibly proud and just humbled by the people who put themselves forward. So for those of you who haven't seen that committee, Nat, can you just put up that committee on the screen, just so you know this is the committee that was set up post the conference. Natalia, are you there? There we go. So there you go. And the committee is chaired by Peter Dross, who has been a stalwart on the SATSA board. And you can see the other people who are part of that committee. The committee met on the 28th of June for the first time. And it was I think it's really nice, guys, that we hit the ground running, that we can bring something back to the membership that is tangible, that's practical, and indeed actionable. So without further ado, that's the intro from me. I'm going to hand over to the chair of the SATSA Marketing Advisory Committee, the inimitable Peter Dross.
Thanks, David. Thanks for that introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us. I think I just want to just touch on the composition of the committee. So when we set it up initially, it was important for us that we leveraged certainly, experienced members within the SATSA fold, but also that we focused on particular key source markets, because one of the key things we obviously want to do is reach key markets for South Africa. And you saw the names up there, but certainly some of the DMCs that focus on particular source markets. We also have a youth element within the committee, and then also a nice spread of sort of lodges and hotels and product. So in a combined effort, it's not slanted to any particular one side, but that combined effort that we want to grow and develop certainly South Africa and indeed Southern Africa as a destination. So I think also just a few key things from my side, just to be clear, I guess, where we're starting from, or the base is from. We're never gonna be a DMO. It's not our role. So just so that everybody is clear on that point. As David alluded to, the membership has tremendous reach within the industry and within the trade across the world. So how can we then, as a committee, sort of leverage on those relationships? What are the low-hanging fruit that we could pick, that we could use to promote the destination South Africa? And that is the starting point. I think also the committee, and I'm a true believer in partnerships and collaborations, and David alluded to that. And I think now even more so than ever, with budgets being cut, how can we be as effective as possible? How can we ensure the best return on investments in whatever it is that we do? And for me, one of the key things is collaboration. And when I talk of collaboration, it's not only within the SATSA family, but also within our partners and our various stakeholders. And those include the DMOs, the RTOs, the LTOs. So how can this committee then enable a stronger private-public partnership to amplify whatever initiatives we agree on? Also for me, when I started getting my head around this, I also really separate the sales element of the destination and the marketing element of the destination. So I'm in sales. I would say that's certainly my strength, but to me it's about how do we get buyers in front of suppliers as efficiently as possible, as inexpensively as possible. And then obviously on the marketing side is more about the messaging, the communication. So I see them as completely different elements. So certainly on the sales side, we're looking at trade shows. How can we leverage better on trade shows? How can they be more affordable? Can we do regional trade shows? Can we do international trade shows? And to make those accessible to members of the SATSA family. And then, that's the private-public partnership too. So if any of those RTOs, LTOs, SA Tourisms and the likes want to be part, we start developing and growing that partnership. They also have a committee or a footprint where they can at least start a discussion that hopefully can lead to positive outcomes. So those are really key elements as a starting point. We're not going to DMO. We're never going to have the funds to be able to do that. But how can we enable that private-public partnership to amplify whatever initiatives we have in place? So that's, to me, the sales. And then obviously on the marketing side, we're looking at all the digital stuff, so social media campaigns. And I'm very pleased to say Natalia is going to present our first one. She's certainly the key architect in all of this and done great work even during COVID. I think we've learned many lessons there, and going to hand over to her in a moment, and she's going to take you through the first initiative. But we're going to keep these initiatives coming. The committee will be working on these, and we'll keep those communications open to you as members, and how you can get involved and what sort of projects we're going to be involved in. So we're really excited to get the train moving, and please, we'll come back to this, but this is all about the members of SATSA as well. So we really need your support to be able to make these initiatives work. A lot of it is back to collaboration. How can we amplify that? And even if you're a small bed and breakfast in a particular area, whatever the case might be, using a particular hashtag or sharing the content, it all causes ripples, and these ripples become waves. And that's really what we'd like to achieve. So I think that's all from me for now anyway. Natalia, I'm going to hand over to you. As I said, she's the architect and the brainwave of Free2B, which we're very excited about. And Natalia, over to you. And maybe you just want to tell everybody where you are, because I think it's fascinating.
Sorry, Pete, before you go there, let me just come in. Just to say, guys, Natalia is going to present the campaign and show you, just the sort of guts of it and how it all works. But we welcome suggestions. Where there is a Q&A session, please post your questions or post comments. We will come back and deliberate that. We are going to hopefully be joined by another member of the panel, Lindy, who is coming in and joining us. But Pete, before we go on, do you want to talk about any of the other sort of items that we're going to be dealing with going forward, or are you happy just to do the presentation at the moment?
David, maybe let's get the presentation done, if that's okay. Sorry, and then we can maybe come to that afterwards. I don't want to detract too much from Natalia's awesome work, if that's okay.
Good. Okay, Natalia, over to you.
Thanks, everyone. And sorry, I know that my background at the moment, and I'll switch it off in a second, is that of a car. I am very sorry, but I am doing a little bit of remote working myself, something which I know all of you are very used to, having had to do that during COVID. I am currently looking at Omaha Beach in Normandy. It is thankfully a cloudy day, so sitting in the car is not going to kill me. I'm not going to be sweating as I go through it. But just for the sake of you not having to look at my horrible car background, I am going to stop my video off and run through the presentation. And Peter, true to his kind of golfing heritage, teed it up really nicely for me. Thank you so much, Peter. This is not a campaign to replace what a DMO does. We are not a DMO. This is a campaign that was born out of a recipe that resulted from COVID. And we did this really, really effectively as Team SATSA, as Team Inbound Tourism during COVID, getting behind certain campaigns to push a specific message across. So what are the elements of that? The element number one is to decide what the message is. And element number two is to make use of all of the amazing digital platforms that you have at your disposal as publishers, as information providers, to get that one particular key message across. So this is a destination campaign. It is not a campaign to position your particular product as free to be. I'm not going to go out and find out what products exist within the space and then start promoting product. We're not an itinerary builder. We are not a product marketing organization. What we are here to do is to get everybody aligned behind one destination message, and then to show you how to leverage the platforms at your disposal to get that one message out, so that we're all running in the same direction to get to that end goal. As David said, if you have any questions, the Q&A folder is open, so please feel free to throw those in. Any suggestions, any comments, we'd love to have them. This is a campaign that really was just a draft campaign for discussion with SATSA's new marketing advisory committee, and the marketing committee loved it. So that is why this is our first digital tactic that we are going ahead with. Okay, so quite a few of these slides are a little bit technical, and I'll try and run through them as quickly as possible, but obviously you will have access to this recording as well as the presentation afterwards, and I'm very happy to take the conversation offline and chat about it. So what is our main goal is to align our trade, our travel industry, who's selling South Africa behind one message. We're open and we're free to be. So that is our communication objective, to position Destination South Africa as open, free and fun. And we have several target markets that we use to get that message across. Most definitely, those of you who are on the call today, our members of SATSA, you are our first concentric circle, if you will. Then we're looking at the influence that you have with trade partners that are selling South Africa, both in South Africa and beyond. So what marketing representation companies do you have access to, for example? We're also looking at partners such as representation companies, as I've mentioned, our partner associations elsewhere in the world, DMOs, on-show solutions, media and influencers, both locally and internationally, and then lastly, the local and international consumer. SATSA does not have a consumer database. We cannot market to the consumer. So what we're trying to do is to use those concentric circles to get behind a message so that the end consumer is thus reached by you and by your partners internationally and through media. So why did we decide to go with this idea of free to be? And those of us who have been traveling in Europe, and I know there are a few of you on the call, I recognize some of the names that have been with me in Europe in the last 2 months will know that at the moment, Europe is absolute chaos, cancelled flight, crowded airports, queues, staff shortages. The service that I have experienced in France, just based off the back of there being so few people in service positions, it really is chaos to travel here at the moment. And while South Africa may be long haul, it's open, it's uncrowded, it's affordable, it's fun, unforgettable, beautiful, and warm. It's a place where you're truly free to be. And when we come up with a marketing message, and I'll just loop into that slide quickly, we look at two things. First, we look at what the problem is that we're trying to solve. So on the left-hand side, what is the thing that the audience is trying to solve? Right now in Normandy, the problem that I'm trying to solve is not to stand in a queue for hours to enjoy a break, essentially. It's not to stand in airports, not to be stuck in the crowds. On the right-hand side is what we have to offer. And very often what we do in marketing is we focus very specifically on this, what we have to offer. What do we want to tell people about? But really, we don't really focus on what it is that people care about. And the real special stuff, the magic, is this point of relevance that sits in the middle. What is it that the audience cares about that we can solve, essentially? And if we think about the problem that we're trying to solve at the moment, especially those that are stuck in Europe, and I say stuck because if you're here at the moment, you will understand that it is really chaos, is this idea of South Africa being a destination where you can truly feel free. Once you have traveled to the destination, this open air environment, this amazing adventure tourism destination that we have, this wonderful constitution where you can be free to love whomever you wish. You can be free to be whoever you want to be. It's a very compelling hook, if you will, and a very compelling message that we all can align behind as one B2B community, as one tourism community. So if we were stuck in lift and we were trying to explain what it is that we were wanting to achieve, the short version would be that this is a B2B destination awareness campaign that aligns the travel trade behind one message. South Africa is a place where you're free to be. And we leverage those communication platforms to reach a B2C audience. So we are not doing B2C marketing as SATSA. And the long version is just unpacking the 4 key tactics that we're going to be using to achieve that. So our trade partners, those of you who are on the call, hopefully inspired to get behind us, you can leverage some of those tactics. You can leverage all of those tactics. And there is no cost to you to leveraging these tactics. There are 4 tactics I'll take you through. All I need from you is to indicate your interest on the extent to which you want to be involved. And there is a SATSA survey that will go out after today's session that will give you a very good understanding of what the different elements are that you can get involved in. So what is that hook? As I mentioned, that free to be hook on the left-hand side, we've been stuck behind walls inside for a long time. Now we're stuck in queues. What are we trying to do? We're trying to escape. And here are some very simple visual assets, some very simple photographs that illustrate beautifully how South Africa is free to be. On the left here, bottom left, this is me on a hike in Cape Town. But don't these people look like they are free to be? These are all South African images. Free to be. All of you who are on this call with me today, either in your personal capacity or as part of your brand, you have photographs and videos that illustrate the sense of free to be, all of you. What we are not doing well is sharing those photographs and videos so that we can all promote Destination South Africa behind one aligned message, free to be. We're doing it in an ad hoc, siloed way. And we realized during COVID, the power of us working together behind one message. And we can do that again with these tactics. Here's more free to be. These are all South African visuals. I won't show you what my visual looks like at the moment. Yes, there's a beach, but there are lots of people. More free to be. So anybody in this room who doesn't have photos and videos that speak to free to be, I would be really, really surprised. Just look at this. Now, some of the photographs on this particular slide are photographs that SA Tourism actually has on their image gallery. They have one image gallery where there are images that you can download and you can share with your audiences. We can have exactly the same. Okay, so this is a bit of a marketing slide, but I'll run through it very quickly. When we're putting a marketing campaign together or a communications campaign, we talk about something called Peso, which is paid, earned, shared, and owned. And those Peso platforms are the channels that you send information out. And all of you on this call have a different mix of Peso platforms that you currently use to market your business. You might not be marketing Destination South Africa, but certainly you are all marketing your businesses. Now, what are those? The owned platforms are those that you have at your disposal. You have control over. They are your platforms. Your newsletter, for example, your website, your blogs. Those are the platforms that you can control and you can put information on. The earned platforms are platforms that do not belong to us but can be leveraged. So in many ways, from a SATSA perspective, an earned platform for us are our SATSA members. We can leverage our SATSA member networks, but it doesn't belong to us. We have to ask you to help us get a message across. Similarly, media and influencers are also earned platforms. Shared are social media platforms. And many of you are going to say, well, I own my Facebook handle or my Facebook company page. If Mark Zuckerberg decided tomorrow Facebook doesn't exist, gone. All of that hard work that you've been creating to build a following will be disappearing. So the social media presence is a shared social media platform, at least a shared platform. And all of you in your personal capacities, as well as in your professional capacities and your brands, have social media handles, whether that be on Insta, whether you're on collaborating on TikTok, whether you're on LinkedIn, you all have a social media presence. And the last one is paid. Now, why have I not put paid here? Because we work in tourism and we do not have budgets. We have very small budgets. And the South Africa is Travel Ready campaign that we ran very successfully with a group of wonderful PR and communications agencies during COVID, did our entire campaign absolutely zero budget. We invest in our effort and our energy into something, but we managed to run that campaign with you, all of you as our foot soldiers, without spending a cent. So how do we box clever and use the platforms that are at our disposal as one community, as one tribe, to get that free to be message out without putting our hands in our pockets? I'll let that sit with you for a second. So what we do when we put a comms plan together is we create what we call content themes. And we know, as we've explained a little bit earlier, that our core theme is free to be. So if you were stuck in a lift and you were explaining what it is that you want to position Destination as South Africa as, you would say free to be. So if we were going to unpack that a little bit, we have one of the world's most progressive constitutions, allowing you to love who you want to be, who you want to be. In addition, we have this culture of openness, warmth, and acceptance. And I can tell you that I miss that South African smile. I miss walking into a place and just having that beaming smile and having the warmth of South Africans. That is a real thing. We're very quick to be disparaging of ourselves, but really we have the most incredible culture of warmth and acceptance. Our destination is a treasure trove of open air, outdoor and adventure experiences. We have 101 adventure tourism experiences in South Africa, 101 that we're talking about. Plus we're fun loving and welcoming. What's not to love? So here you can feel free to be. And if we were going to unpack that a little bit more, what would that look like in terms of what you write in your blog posts, what you're giving to the media, what you're sharing with your trade partners? The fact that we're open, no restrictions, open landscape, freedom of space, everyone's welcome. This warmth and welcoming climate that we've got, the culture that we have, you will leave South Africa truly touched by that warmth, our cultural diversity. And then the diversity of experiences that we have, the destinations. We're not just a one-trick pony. We've got incredible adventure tourism. We've got incredible product. We have amazing experiences on offer. We have all of our tourism, entertainment, arts, culture, and heritage experience that SATSA has been promoting through Let's Go. And lastly, yes, long-haul destination, absolutely. But once you get to South Africa, the incredible value for money that you have in South Africa and the diversity of experiences to suit every budget. So you have choice, you have value for money. And yes, if you're wanting luxury, happy day, go wild. But if you're wanting budget, you can do that too. And lastly, a remote worker's paradise. Absolutely. I'm remote working here and Wi-Fi is an issue. I do not have that issue to the extent that I'm having here in Normandy at the moment. So I truly believe and would back these content pillars in all our messaging, but I would love for any feedback from any of you after you've had a chance to digest what it is that I've presented today and perhaps had a look at it, to get to grips with if there are any others that I've potentially missed. So what are those 4 key tactics? And we like to keep things simple, because if we try and do everything, we do nothing. And those of you who know me well, Mon, will know I say this a lot. We fix the plane while we fly it. So I'm not going to spend hours and hours trying to get a campaign looking perfect before I launch that aircraft. It's going, and we will tweak as we go along. So what are the 4 things that we're going to do? The first one is to crowdsource the digital assets, those videos and those photographs that I was talking about. The second is to create a free-to-be social media toolkit. Many of you on the call will have used a toolkit that we have done previously as South Africa's Travel Ready on your social media platforms. We give you tiles. We also give you overlays that you can create your own social media tiles with. It's entirely up to you if you have that design capacity in-house. We are going to employ a social media resource, so one person whose responsibility it will be to engage on social media with user-generated content, so content that is being created by people who visit South Africa, and I'll show you in a minute what I mean. And then lastly, SATSA has been doing trade FAMs, virtual live FAMs for the last 2.5 years, incredibly successfully, and Hanley and the team know how to do this with their eyes closed. And then media FAMs. So if you can imagine us all shouting at the same time, saying the same thing across these different platforms, across your different platforms, how powerful it will be than having 1 or 5 or only 10 people saying this. So let's unpack this a little bit more. These are some posts that I found literally just by putting in hashtag South Africa on Instagram. And obviously Instagram is basically going to be where it's at. We will try TikTok and Facebook as well, but Insta will get most of our love. And these are all people who have been in South Africa who have posted photographs that I identified as free to be. Just look at that guy ziplining. Does that not scream free to be? Even the teddy bear is free to be. These are photographs that other people are posting on social media. Our job is to leverage that, is to engage. These people are knocking on our door and we are not responding. We are not commenting. We are not engaging with them. We want to make sure that they know we've seen them, we've heard them, and we love what they've taken. We will create a visual destination South Africa dam where, and I've given you an example there of 2 galleries that Piwigo plugin allows us to create on the SATSA website, where you can upload your photographs or your videos of the destination. Remember, this is not about product. This is not for us to market product. This is about for us to market destination. If your product is an experience that visually represents, like this guy over here with the zip line, that's absolutely fine. But we're not going to have photographs of beds, for example, or rooms, for example, because this is not about selling a product. This is about selling a destination very specifically. So you would get access to this gallery and you would upload any copyright-free photographs or videos that you have access to for sharing as part of this campaign. You would tag it and we would then credit you for that photography that is used on social media platforms. You've all seen these. We did these last year, I think when we were all feeling very depressed, Mon, and we were back in Red List 2.0, where we literally poked fun at the fact that we had our borders closed by other parts of the world, but here we all were living our best life in this beautiful country that we are fortunate to live in. And we translated that into so many different languages. We even translated it into Polish, would you believe? And thank you very much to those SATSA members that assisted us to translate the copy that we'd created in English. So we will be creating that again. And as I said, we'll be creating overlays. So what you can do is simply just take a photograph that you really love that illustrates free to be, and you can just put the overlay on top of that and use that as well. We will also be providing you some training on how to use this, as well as for those of you who do not have an in-house graphic team, we'll be teaching you how to use Canva to do a little bit of design as well, just so that you can play around with that free to be on your own social media. Let's unpack our media and our trade FAM approach. So again, we have a survey that we're going to be sending out, and you can tell us if you are interested in participating either to host media or to host trade. We, from a media perspective, will contact you to define what you are offering. We will then bundle the product that has decided they are wanting to do media FAMs, and we will then connect you with journalists, with your designated point person, so that we can facilitate, just as a bridge, to get that journalist to your particular your particular establishment or your particular experience. We will also make sure that the media stakeholder signs an agreement to define the coverage, which is a normal practice. And then once that media has created whatever articles they're creating, our social media person will engage with that content, and that will then become shared content. From a trade FAM approach, we will run these in conjunction with our SATSA chapter and our local DMOs, as we currently do. So you will, for example, have seen an email go out today with a Garden Route chapter FAM. So the exact same process that we do with our SATSA FAMs currently is what we will do. The trade FAMs will be destination focused, not individually product focused. And as I say, they'll be modeled on existing SATSA FAM frameworks, so that we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're literally leveraging what we do well. I'm not going to go into that. It's just literally the foundations of the campaign and how we're rolling it out. Now, most importantly, how you can get involved. And I know you're all chomping at the bit to get involved. We will be sending out a survey along with this recording and this presentation after the event, probably tomorrow morning, for you just to digest. If you have any questions, you can come through to me. But if you can then just complete that survey. Yes, I know it's another survey and I'm sorry, but it's the easiest way for me to define how you want to be involved. And you will have a little checklist and you can say, yes, I want to do that. No, I'm not interested in that, etc. Start thinking about the people in your network who can leverage other networks. So do you have marketing representation elsewhere in the world? Do you have strong relationships with media elsewhere in the world? Have you got a relationship with a stakeholder that's got an amazing database that can be leveraged? Start thinking about who these people are. I will ask that question in the survey as well. I can't speak to hundreds of people. So what I'm wanting is one person in your organization who's my campaign point person, so that when I'm needing to communicate that next week we're going out with X, I'm only communicating with that one person as opposed to communicating with loads and loads and loads of different people. So is that one person in your organization who's going to run point. Share any visuals that you've got, any videos, any photographs that you have copyright over that speak to free to be, and remember, destination specific. Post it on this digital asset management Kiwigo app that we're creating, and just make sure that you tag it appropriately so it's easy for us to find stuff. So if it's adventure, tag it adventure, tag the destination so it's easy for us to find. Use our trade toolkit, please. We're creating it for you. It's free. And the more of us use it and the more of us get our stakeholders to use it, the better. And that hashtag free to be. So start when you are posting something on social media that speaks to free to be, just include the hashtag free to be so our social media can engage with you. And then find ways to link your destination experience and product to the campaign hook free to be. So if you have an experience that very specifically speaks to free to be, let us know so that we can try and pull that into the media and the messaging that we're doing. If you know of any experiences in your area, or if your destination very specifically speaks to free to be, let us know. We're not on the ground in the way that you are. You need to see yourselves as foot soldiers on the ground. And it's two-way. You need to be telling us what there is, and we need to be telling you what we're creating so that we can run in the same direction and win the battle together. So I'll stop sharing there. And I don't know, David or Peter, if you have anything you'd like to add.
I don't have anything I'd like to add. Is Lindy Rousseau with us? Can you admit her?
I am, David. Can you hear me?
I can. You are under Peter Dross, but everybody can hear you.
Yes, I see that. It's not letting me share my video for some reason, but that's possibly a good thing.
How did that happen? Hello.
I'll be Peter too.
Natalia, can you let her?
I've let Lindy share her screen, and I will rename her. Lindy, would you like to be Lindy today, or would you like to be someone else?
Well, she's far prettier than Peter Dross.
Thank you for the compliment. Oh, I'll take it.
But yeah, Lindy, just as a member of the committee, and very grateful and honored to have you with us on the committee. I mean, you were part of that meeting on the 28th and that, but it would just be nice to have a couple of concluding comments from your side and then we can try and open it. We've got a question, and we can get into a little bit of a discussion. But over to you, Lindy.
Sure, David. I think this world that we're in the moment is pretty chaotic, as Natalia has shared with us. There's just so much going on. And along with all of that chaos that's going on in the world, I think we also must recognize that South Africa, probably for the last, pre-COVID even, the messaging coming out of South Africa hasn't been terribly positive and continues to not be terribly positive. So against that backdrop, having to sort of rack one's brain and say, what can we as a collective do about that? There's so much going on in the world that we can't fix or do anything about. But what we do have is these incredible assets in this country that people, if they really could start focusing on, would definitely want to experience. So I think the campaign is extremely clever. It's a really easy thing for all of us to do because, of course, when we first started meeting and chatting about all the different things we could perhaps do to try and put South Africa on the map again, there is just so much one can do. And I think this is a really simple, easy to use, easy to execute, easy to remember, motivating, and very, very positive campaign that we can put out there. And, its success is going to depend entirely on the extent to which it's adopted by all of us as members and the extent to which we share it. And I was on a call earlier today with a whole lot of industry colleagues, and I asked them to put up their hands, those who are members of SATSA, and of course most of them did. And I asked them whether they were going to be on the webinar today, and they sort of looked at me quizzically. And when I told them what this webinar was about, they were like, "Oh my word, we should have been on this webinar." So I think that we have got a huge job to do in spreading the word, in helping our sort of fellow SATSA members understand how simple it is to do this, and even people outside of SATSA, how really easy it is to do this. And I think that if we do get behind it and we really believe in it and share it and do as we've been asked to do, I think we'll be surprised at what we actually can achieve. So I'm really, really excited about this campaign. It's a quick, easy, simple fix that has, all the makings of delivering very good, positive results for us as a destination. So I would urge that you all just get stuck right in, and that you become good representatives and salespeople for the campaign. And let it go viral, let it go big, let people get excited. And, it is only positive. There's nothing but positive in this campaign. So no matter who you are, where you are, what you do, you can only feel good being part of it. Even if you don't see increases in sales, you'll still feel good being part of this campaign. So I would really just urge everybody to own it and to get behind it and have fun on the journey. It's time that we had some fun together. So that would be my commentary, David.
Thank you, Lindy, and thanks for being part of our SATSA 15. Peter, just any concluding comments from your side?
Yeah, I think so. First of all, Natalia, awesome. It's a great campaign, and we're excited to join. And again, everybody, we need your support to make this happen. And it doesn't cost you anything. It costs a bit of your time, a little bit of your energy. And please invite your clients, your agents. And if we can get everybody behind this, we really can make a big difference. And make no mistake, the rest of the world is opening up. Many, many countries and organizations are sitting, having these very same discussions. How do we compete? How do we promote? So let's do our bit as well. And this is something that everybody can benefit from. And it really does put Destination South Africa on the map. So let's please, we need your support. And David, just maybe in conclusion, you asked me at the beginning of the presentation just some of the other initiatives that we're looking at. So and I mentioned the sales and the marketing elements. Obviously around marketing is the communication, it's media. How can we leverage media and the fam trip, the media fam and those kind of things, which we'll work on. But it's also about partnerships. So where can we leverage partnerships, whether it's organizations, airlines, media, other membership organizations that sell Africa. So how can we as SATSA or this marketing advisory committee collaborate and leverage again brand South Africa? And then we mentioned, I touched on a little bit, and maybe just elaborate a little bit. So we I sort of speak of international activations. So could we do in-country shows? Could we do multi-city workshops or road shows that are affordable and accessible to people that need to market in certain countries? And that's why it's important to have our key partners in each of those countries being representative. The domestic activations. So David and Natalia mentioned, for instance, the garden route fam trip, which we're doing. But is there a way that we could then leverage it and then tie it in with Mpumalanga or the Northern Cape, so that we start getting geographical spread and promoting South Africa as a destination as a whole, and not just particular key centers? So how can we be clever? How can we box smart? We've got to punch above our weight. So how can we do that? So we're looking at some of those things. And then the last thing as well is maybe perhaps around some destination training. How can we...
Uh-oh. Back.
Pete, you're on mute. Pete, you're on mute.
I see. Thanks, David. Yeah, obviously right, David, I think that was me. I think that's what I wanted to say. I don't want to waffle too much, so I'll go back to you. And if there's anything else that you want to say before we end, and then please get in touch with us if you have any ideas, thoughts. Please, we need everybody's support and everybody's input. Really valuable, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. No, thanks, Pete. And I mean, look, I think, the timing of this is particularly opportune. I mean, we're in a really strong recovery phase. And, it's important that we charge on. I mean, I think, as the high season out of our traditional European markets hits in September, it's going to be very key and instructive to see if we can bring back our bulk core market. There was a really good mid-market coming out of both Europe and particularly the UK. People who got spooked over the whole fear-mongering that took place. It was very instructive, actually, that there was a report released in the UK yesterday, which totally debunks travel bans as being an effective remedy against COVID. I mean, just beggars belief that we were so perniciously treated. So, but I think, look, getting back to practical next steps here, guys. So this is the start of a process. So I really want to thank everybody who joined us in this presentation. But this presentation is going to be put up. It's going to be available. It's got, we can send this to anybody. I urge you to send this to all your overseas customers. We need to get their support. We need to get their buy-in. And we'll be liaising with the various DMOs, both provincially as well as nationally, to see how they can join and amplify. But it's in a nutshell, it's a simple, practical, private sector led initiative. And it's, as I say, going back to that mantra, if not now, when? If not us, who? We're putting up our hands, we're stepping forward, and I think we're doing it in a really sort of positive way. So I think without be cognizant of people's time, we've all got to get back and cultivate the interest and convert it. So I want to thank the panel. I want to thank the Marketing Advisory Committee. Your work is not done. We have a lot to do, but we're going to be coming back with some great initiatives in other areas as well. So Natalia, thank you for that amazing piece of work and for your stuff. Pete and Lindy, thank you for your time. And just want to say cheers to everybody, and happy hunting. Let's get the recovery back again. Thank you, guys.